In episode 2 of season 1 of Yellowjackets, we get to see what happened just after the plane crashed. And unfortunately, this kind of leads to an imbalance as the 1996 versions of the 2021 adults, they start to eclipse the adults. So the first topic is the 2021 versions, specifically Shauna's family and Tasha's family. With Tasha's family, things are a bit more, they're not bad, but they're not good either. With Tasia campaigning a lot, it means that her wife Simone is the one primarily raising Sammy, and Sammy's having issues in school because he's kind of weird and not making any friends. But when Tasia digs into this more, she realizes her son is seeing something. Like he covers his window with some type of weird woman, and whatever that figure is, it freaks her out a lot. Now, in terms of Shauna and her husband Jeff, the one who she was messing around with, that was her friend's boyfriend decades ago, they're in marriage counseling because their marriage is kind of stagnant, possibly dead at this point. They don't really have sex anymore. From what we see, Jeff is probably cheating on her, but she's sticking in there because that's what's normal to her right now. But as soon as she gets to kill a rabbit, and I mean skin it, gut it, cook it, you can see her coming alive. Like this is what she's meant to do. And with that, she kind of brings that spice back to her and Jeff's relationship to the point where you can see if she was able to like really do something with her life that maybe taps into that side of her, she could possibly be happy and Jeff could possibly be happy as well. But because she's kind of fearful of that or doesn't really want to tap into it that much, instead she keeps like suppressing herself and not allowing herself to be whole. So even when it came to this like small fender bender, she takes that opportunity to flip the hell out. And though the guy, Adam, doesn't respond to that much, which probably makes her even more mad, at the same time, with now knowing that her husband's probably cheating on her, more than likely we're going to see the same thing that happened in the past. Sean is going to have this special, not special relationship, she's going to have this affair that's going to be kind of, I don't want to say saucy or naughty because that's just wording that doesn't fit the situation. But it's gonna be the type of situation that makes her feel like she has some type of secret, something that's kind of special, in that possibly could be what allows her to tap into this side of her that she doesn't allow most people to see, and that she probably doesn't like acknowledging when she doesn't have to. The second topic was still in 2021, but now we're focusing on Natalie and Misty. As we saw, Natalie was stalking Misty, and the reason why she's been stalking Misty is because Natalie has that weird symbol thing, and she's pretty sure that Misty's the one doing it. Now, it isn't 100% why she decided to use Misty out of all the people who survive, but Misty, being a manipulator she is, she turns the situation around and goes from possible culprit to becoming Natalie's partner. Now, is Natalie necessarily looking for Misty to be a partner? Not really, because she knows Misty's out of her mind. But because Misty, just for her hobby, does detective work and has already found many of the people of the group that's still alive, including Travis, who has pretty much gone underground since the accident in the 19-month period, she recognizes that Misty can be very useful for her. And granted, she technically could dump Misty and get with Kevin, the golf kid from first episode, who's now a cop. So he probably has even more information than Misty has. But Misty likes being useful. And because of her dating life being what it is and her friendships, her possibly not having friends, it makes Natalie just suddenly come into a life, sort of like with Shauna getting the opportunity to kill a rabbit. It's that, it's that snap, it's that spark that they've been waiting for, and now that they have it, they're not going to let it go. They're going to tap into that, even if it has to be subtly, just so they can get what they need. Hence her being Misty. messing with Natalie's car. And despite Natalie's car not being touched for years and perfect condition before, now not starting and her having to rely on Misty to go see Travis, who, when Natalie calls him, pretty much makes it clear he does not want any part of this. Yet Natalie's going to seemingly force the issue. So, the third and last topic takes us to 1996, right after the plane crashes. So, the first thing that needs to be noted is when it came to people getting off the plane, nobody that's missing in 2021 died yet. The pilots died, the coach died, the assistant coach Ben, he had to get his leg cut off, and that's done by Misty in a very graphic and like she's clearly deranged moment. And also a girl that we don't know the name of got impaled, who I guess is on the junior varsity team. But when it comes to Van, Charlotte, Laura Lee, those people, they're still alive. Now, Van was left for dead by Jackie, and because Sean was trying to save her, and Jackie's like, let's get out of here before we die with them. So when Van lived, that made you automatically think if Jackie ends up dying, Van's probably the one who did it, set it up, voted for it, whichever way you want to look at it. Van is probably going to get her revenge sooner or later in that 19-month period. But the reason why they ended up there for 19 months, we learned is Misty. You see, before the plane crash, Misty was bullied, teased, and even though she was part of the soccer team in some capacity, as shown, those girls didn't really pay her no damn mind. However, with her doing the babysitter Red Cross program twice, when it comes to all the injuries, when it comes to all the issues that the girls are going through, the physical damage, she's the one helping to make tourniquets, bandages, and it makes her feel useful and also valued because maybe not to her face, but to behind the back, girls aren't talking bad about her now, but now they're talking about how useful and how helpful she is. So when she finds that transponder, which would have told flight control, whatever, that's where the girls are, that's where they can be rescued. She destroys that thing as soon as she finds it and makes sure that nobody can, well, we're gonna assume nobody can trace it back to her because it's in the middle of the night and she destroys it. So who knows if somebody may find it in the morning. All we know for sure is Misty made sure that that thing was destroyed, and she is the reason why they spent 19 months there. And I should also note that symbol that's haunting them in 2021, it's carved into one of the trees in 1996. And again, there's no sign of who put it there, whether it was something like a cult, like a Blair Witch Project type of thing, or what else the girls put it there. Or maybe one of the guys, because guys were on the plane as well. All we know for sure is within that 19-month period, they're going to end up cannibalizing each other, and more than likely, at least Charlotte, Jackie, Laura Lee, and Van are a high possibility for being killed for their meat. Mind you, as shown through Shauna, they did kill rabbits. They might have killed other animals too, but as we saw in episode one, after a certain point, they said that's a little bit too difficult. There's not enough meat to go around or something like that. So they started killing people too. One of the things that kind of complicate this episode for us is because the balance gets thrown off. In episode one, the 96 crew and the 2021 crew were even. You had equal interest in what happening with both sides. But because of how much violence and how much trauma happens with the 96 crew, between seeing Coach Martinez die, his sons, Travis and Javi react, then you have Misty cutting off people's legs, cauterizing someone's leg, destroying the box that forced them to be there 19 months. It overwhelms everything that's happening in 2021, especially because in 2021, it's all a bunch of personal issues that don't really elicit that much, not information, they don't elicit that much interest. Sean and Jeff's relationship is not that interesting. You know that because Shauna is Catholic and Jeff possibly was too, she probably went right back to messing around with him, possibly grief sex, and then she got pregnant. They had to get married, and look where we are now. Natalie feels very much, I don't want to say shallow, but definitely when it comes to how she's written and how Lewis plays with her as a character, there's nothing inspiring about her portrayal. She's messed up because of trauma from 96. She's messed up because of drugs, sex, and alcohol. And while she has vulnerable moments that show she's still a person, even though she's went through so much, it's just like, I, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. And then with Tasia, a part of me wants to appreciate they're not trying to exploit the fact that she's black and queer, much less biracial and queer. But by not by trying to avoid tapping into that, it's like, what else are we left with? Her son having some kind of trauma, seeing some lady in a window, her political career, which is not that interesting because it's Hmm. I think the main issue is when it comes to Shauna, Natalie, and Tasia is that it doesn't tie in together. So we're forced to see them as individuals and have them operate within their own stories, even though their own stories do not compare to what binds them together. And as much as this little what does this symbol means thing and them feeling threatened by it's supposed to be interesting, it's one of those things that in the short term, it brings nothing to the show, or at least nothing in terms of you wanting to invest in what's going on. It's one of those things where you have to hope for a long term payoff. And right now, it's not doing much to get you curious about anything. This is as opposed to Misty, who rather than have Misty in the past and Misty in the present, pretty much are connected, same people. In the past, she was this manipulative little outsider, black sheep type. And in the present day, she's the same person. Same insecurities. It's just now she knows how to mess with people in order to get what she wants. Because of that, Christina Ricci is able to fully connect with her character beyond looking like her. And it really makes it so that with the adults, she is the only one that makes looking at the 2021 side of this show interesting, which unfortunately, when it comes to Natalie, it doesn't push you to think maybe she can piggyback off this and use well, Natalie can use not Christina. Natalie can use Misty as a crutch because it's not working. But we're only in episode 2, so there's a hope that they can kind of balance things out because if we're being completely honest, it's probably mostly the violence and the shock that Laura Lee and the rest of them didn't die in a plane crash that makes the first part more interesting. Only because we're still stuck with that question of so how did they die? Who killed them? Or else, if they're alive now, why haven't we seen them yet? Compared to the older versions where it's kind of like you have this symbol going around that we assume deals with the cult stuff in 96, but that's the thing. All it does is drive you back to thinking about what happened in 96. It really doesn't make you question what's happening in 2021. But hopefully in episode 3, things balance out and get better.